Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. He is a video marketing specialist that focuses on creating powerful video marketing campaigns which focus on telling you your brand's or business story. After deciding to drop out of college just 1 year from graduation, Victor started his company in 2018 and since then has worked with clients nationwide, helping them develop a social media strategy and show off their brands through video. It's my pleasure to introduce Victor Valencia. Hey, Victor, how are you, brother?
Hey, Cesar, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Glad to have you here on the show. So
Good to be here.
definitely interesting, knowing that right before college, you decided to drop out and kind of venture into your own stuff. And definitely I want to learn more about that. Before we dive into that, though, tell me about your upbringing. Where are you originally from, and how was your upbringing as a kid?
Yeah, so I was born in Mexico, and I came to the United States when I was 5 years old. I live in a very small town of about 8,000 people at the time, and I grew up there up until I was 18, 19, and I went to college for I moved out finally, but yeah, I grew up in a very small town, and I was born in Mexico.
Yeah.
I think that's itself a challenge because I ended up getting DACA because of that. But yeah, I'm a DACA recipient from Mexico, and yeah.
Yeah, interesting to know that and learn that. And definitely, I believe that there's always there's different mentalities or different ways of seeing things. I think from sometimes when people come from other countries into the States, right? I don't know what kind of challenges. I'm sure there's some challenges for you coming here at the age of 5. I mean, although you were kind of young, do you recall having any challenges just fitting into this new society or into a different country from that perspective?
Oh, for sure, for sure. When I got here, I obviously didn't speak English, so that was a challenge itself. But the thing is, even after all those challenges, I still never felt like I wasn't from here. So we'll get into that. But yeah, no, there was definitely some challenges. The biggest one was just the language barrier. It took me a while really to, first of all, learn it, and then second of all, just feel confident enough to actually speak it. So I remember in the second, third grade, even though I knew the language by then, I was just way too embarrassed to actually speak it. And I wasn't in bilingual classes, so luckily I was able to talk to people who obviously knew Spanish, and that's really where I met one of my best friends nowadays. His name is Ulises Osuna. But eventually I ended up moving schools, and that's really where I had to speak English because I was no longer in those bilingual classes. So yeah, definitely the biggest challenge for me as a 5-year-old.
Yeah. What part of the US did you end up coming when you came to the States?
I'm from Washington State, and I lived in Grandview, Washington, so a very small town. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So I mean, I can definitely relate to you in many different aspects. I'm also from Mexico City. I came to the States when I was 10, and one thing you mentioned right now that it was the same thing that I went through coming to the States was the fact that I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like I didn't belong. into into the society, into this new country. And it was one of those things where, sometimes, people may not see that. Yet again, when you come from a different country, or you're learning a new language, you see all this diversity and different things. A lot of times it's not that easy to be able to um, relate to and or be part of a community that really it's a foreign country for you in many different aspects, right? And
Right.
so definitely there's a lot of different challenges with that. I'm very intrigued to know, though. Obviously you came here at an early age, so you didn't feel like you fit in. You obviously finally were able to learn the language and kind of go through all of those different aspects. What was that for you growing up, and knowing that you came from a different country, uh, just growing up through, through your early teens and things of that nature? What were some of the major challenges you had to face, and what did you do about it?
Well, luckily, like I said, I had a lot of friends that spoke Spanish, and that kind of helped me through it. And then we kind of, we grew up together. So we're very small. Like I said, it was a very small town, about
Yeah,
8,000 people. And
not like in
luckily, I
LA.
never, luckily, I never felt like I didn't fit in. Because once I felt confident speaking English, I started playing soccer with them. Just
Yeah.
started hanging out. Even outside of school, I would go and hang out with a variety of different kids, and it was awesome. Like honestly, I didn't feel like I didn't fit in.
Hmm.
Even through high school, same thing. But I think the challenge that you're referring to really came after high school, specifically when I was starting to apply for colleges.
Okay.
I still didn't know these things, and I started applying, thinking, "Oh, I'll get scholarships." I had amazing grades, great student, but it came to realization that I don't qualify for, first of all, grants for the country,
Mm.
and scholarships were actually much harder to get than I originally thought because of that. So I was very limited to where I could apply, the financial help I can get, and we couldn't afford it. My parents couldn't help me out. I actually started working when I was in seventh grade in order to start helping them out because I wanted to support myself. I didn't want to rely on them. I knew they were tight on cash sometimes, um, and yeah, so I started working. I started saving up, but I still didn't have enough money to go to college. So that was a stressful time for sure.
Yeah, no, that definitely. And so tell me about the idea. Is that the reason why you close enough to graduate and you decided to drop out of college?
Actually, no. I
Okay.
After that, it luckily I applied for a scholarship and I did get it, and it was actually a full ride scholarship.
Oh.
So yeah, full ride, everything paid for. I actually was getting money back to go to school. So that tells you something. We'll go a
Hmm.
little more in depth into that. But yeah, I was getting paid to go to school, luckily, because I had such great grades and I got lucky with this scholarship.
Yeah.
And then freshman year of college, I actually met my now fiance there, and I went with my two best friends to school, and I thought it was going to be amazing. However, that year just turned out to be horrible for me. I just felt like I wasn't really getting the education I wanted. And then I think part of it was also me. I was going into cybersecurity, which I thought I would love because I love technology and I love, just computers in general. And I
Hmm.
ended up hating it, and it just
Hmm.
wasn't for me. So that was really the first set of challenge during college, is the fact that even though I was with amazing people and like I said, I met my fiance there, I hated it because I just didn't fit in.
Yeah, got it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a hard time, and eventually I decided to leave that college after only 1 year. The reason for that is because I tried out for a soccer team in a smaller community college, and luckily I made the team, and I decided to transfer over there for the remaining 2 years of my college career.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got it. I forgot to mention to you. So when you came to the States, was it just you, your parents, siblings? What was the who came, or how was that?
Yeah, so it was just me and my parents, and I did have a sister at the time who came with us. She was only 1 year old,
Mm.
so as you can imagine, it was a difficult time coming with a 1 year old.
Yeah,
And then I have two younger siblings as well. They're both boys who were born here.
got it, got it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I always find that very fascinating. And again, just kind of seeing the the progressional timeline of in your case, or in many cases of people, that how they end up where they're at, right? And so for you, being able to come from a different country, you go through that, go to college, and trying to still try to figure out where you want to fit in, or whatever the case may be, is understanding what were some of those challenges that you had to overcome, or major obstacles, right? And for you, it was having a hard time knowing what exactly you wanted to do after you got your degree, right? Why did you find that difficult? And the reason why I ask is I feel like a lot of people nowadays, or even in the past, they go to college still. I call them seat warmers, because they don't have an idea of what they want to do. They're just there to heat up the seats. And so, and it's sad to see that, because you will think that by the time you graduate high school, you should already know what you want to do. Except we find that a lot of people do not know what they want to do, or they think they want to do something, and they're working towards a particular degree, that by the time they graduate, they don't even put that into practice. They're doing something different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, what was going on with you in your head, that you were kind of lost in that sense?
I think definitely the second option, or
Mm-hmm.
going into college thinking I wanted to do something when in reality I wasn't even sure what it was.
Mm.
I think the biggest thing was learning what the job would be like after I decided on a particular, degree. I didn't want to be stuck at a desk, 9 to 5, doing the same thing. It just wasn't for me. And at the time, it was totally different because you didn't really work from home like you do nowadays, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't want to go to an office, be there all day, and then come back and just a cycle over and over. I think that was the biggest thing that I learned about that job that I would have had if I continued. So yeah, definitely not knowing enough, not doing enough research as a high school student, because I felt like we don't have that guidance. I didn't
Mm.
have that guidance, at least.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I feel like especially a lot of kids nowadays, they go to college just because they think they have to go to college, not because they know what they want to do or because they have to. Um, so yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely something that somewhere in the system that's just not working. We
Yeah.
definitely need to figure that out, because there's kids out there spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to school when in reality they might not even end up using that degree, and I don't feel that's right.
Right. There's actually a couple of things you just talked about or mentioned that I want to kind of expand on, and part of the idea is that I do believe that we are so programmed from many generations that the ideal thing for someone to do is go to college, go to high school, graduate, go to college, get a good education, graduate from that, and get a good job, and retire forever, never, never. Right? That's something that
Yeah.
has been ingrained in our heads for so many years now, and unfortunately, that's the program that has been given to us and has been passed down to us. That's the first thing. The second thing is, you know. Um, Coming from an immigrant family, and again, I can relate to you on this, I believe, is that, coming from Mexico or different countries, a lot of times your parents are busy working or doing other things. They don't give you that guidance that you need to be maybe help you out. And at the same time, they don't give you the guidance. I do believe, and I believe that not only this happens in the Spanish community or the Hispanic community, is that even though you may not have the support, definitely your parents will be very vocal to say, "I want you to become this, or do that, or go to school for this." Yet sometimes they were not there, right? And so, in other words, you don't have that free will to say, "Well, I mean, you do on your own to an extent, right?" To say, "Hey, I want to become, I don't know, I want to become a dancer," where maybe your parents are like, "No, you got to go to college and become a doctor, or a IT, or whatever, a lawyer or something," right? And they have that educational career for you already outlined, yet there were absentees during your growing up. Would you agree with that or disagree with that?
In my case, actually, I wouldn't agree to the fact, well, at least my parents,
Yeah.
luckily, they gave me, they allowed me to do what I wanted to do, but they definitely wanted me to go to college. And that was the biggest thing. Everything they did was in order for me to go to college. Luckily, they weren't pushing me to become a lawyer. I wouldn't make a good lawyer. But yeah, they definitely wanted me to go to college. And as I continued during college and I finished my soccer career, I didn't want to go to school anymore. And that's when I started talking to them about it, and they were definitely upset. So
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I mean, when you think about it, I understand where they're coming from, because, coming to a new country in order to give us a better life, that was the whole thing. And in a sense, they feel like we're throwing that away by
Right.
not going to college. So I do understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, they got to allow us to do what we want to do, and become our own person. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
no, definitely. Like you said here is, when it comes down to your career, you should do what makes you happy, not what others expect from you. And I do believe that. I mean, at the end of the day, is your life, and you got to be able to learn some of those lessons. And some of those lessons are sometimes a little bit more harder than the other ones. Nevertheless, you got to be able to explore that and learn that, because that's the only way that you can learn, right? Versus living somebody else's dream, where perhaps you're not happy, and beyond not being happy, you're not operating at your full potential, right? Because you're doing it for somebody else. And so I think that's huge. So obviously you decided to venture into your own career, do your own stuff. What was the thing that came to mind for you? What is it that you wanted to do?
Yeah, so during college, I started doing photography for real estate, specifically for real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even in college, I really enjoyed making videos and working with them. I actually had a whole production for our award ceremony for our senior year. I was in charge of all that. I created the whole event. So I had an amazing time doing that, and I really did enjoy it. So I started looking into that when I was, in college, because I needed to make money. I was getting some money back from my scholarships, luckily, but it wasn't enough to be living on my own. So I started looking into what other options there would be to make money. I didn't want to just work at McDonald's late at night and then go to school in the morning. So I looked into photography, and I already had that experience. Um, Eventually, I started taking photos for a third party company for
Mm-hmm.
real estate. And that's really where I learned a lot more of what it takes to create a business, because not only do they hire me to do that, I started connecting the dots as like how they're working with an agent, and then maybe working with the firm, and then hiring a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, that was sort of the business I wanted to create, and that's kind of where I'm at now. But yeah, that's really what got me into it. The fact that I just needed money during college, and I've always really liked creating and telling stories through photos and videos. So
Yeah. Is that something you're still doing very heavily?
yeah, I actually still am. I do a lot of photography still for real estate agents. It's more of a side gig, really. I really enjoy it, like I said, and
Yep.
I'm actually building a second company that's focusing on real estate,
Mm.
and building that sort of system that they hire me to do early on. Now
Yeah.
I'm on the opposite end, where I'm hiring photographers to take photos for me. Either I or an editor edits them, just for quality control in the beginning, and then
Yeah.
eventually, sorry about that. Eventually, we everything is automated. So yeah, I'm building that system as a second company as well.
Got you. So how
Hmm.
did you get involved with video marketing? I'm assuming it came from the real estate and photos and things like that. That's how you got into that.
So that's what got me into kind of this industry of creatives. But that the year that I decided to drop out, I was actually working. I was living actually with one of my best friends, Ulysses Suna,
Yeah.
and he owns a really big,
PR company.
firm company,
Yep.
Influencer Press, and I actually started creating a lot of videos for him, because
Uh,
luckily he got a camera, and so I started learning more about DSLRs at the time, and I started creating those videos for him. So he's really what really led me on to learning more about video production, and he's what got me my start in video production,
yeah.
at least at a higher level. Before that, I was shooting with my phone, just little clips and putting them together. But yeah, so he and his company is really what got me that start that I really needed.
Gotcha. So were you with them at the Las Vegas convention 2 weeks ago or something like that?
I was, yeah. So I filmed all the BTS, and then a lot of the a lot of other clips for him throughout the week. I was with them all 4 days. We went to Seattle for one day and then flew over to Vegas. We
Yeah.
were there for a couple of days, so that was really fun for sure.
Yeah, that definitely. Yeah, I couldn't make it. I couldn't make that particular one. But yeah, that's
We'll
awesome.
have plenty more to go. So we're aiming for every 6 months. I'm not sure that's doable, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that'll be awesome. So obviously you're doing work very similar to like companies like Ulysses company, the influencer press, very similar to that. What is your besides that? What is your ideal customer base that you're trying to target and help people out? Yeah.
So right now, what my main company does is social media management, and what that is basically we go from planning the content all the way up to actually posting it for them. Um, our main We don't have a niche yet. We're still kind of trying to build that, but the reason for that is because it's not really a niche that we're trying to find. It's more like the right fit. So what that is, it's just people who are looking to get their time back most of all is people who are too busy to be posting on their social media. We're working with a lot of agents right now who just don't have time for social media. And what we do is we plan their content, we shoot it, we edit it, and then we post it for them on their social medias. That way, everything's automated for them, and they don't have to worry about, oh, I didn't record this, or I didn't get to post this. They just focus on their business, closing deals, and we focus on their social media.
Got it. Yeah. So your part of your primary target is within the real estate business per se.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it because, like I said, that's where I came from.
Yeah.
But we're expanding to more a diverse types of clients. I work with another company who has a variety of clients. So I have experience with truck companies. I have experience with builders. I have experience with log manufacturers. We also have a few nurse practitioners who work with nurses and delegating them with caregivers. So I work with a variety of clients, but my company has been focusing primarily on real estate for now.
Yeah, got it. One thing that really I got to commend you for that, and I want to get your input on this and your thoughts on this is that again, being able to see the things you've done, the accomplishments, places you're going, or all the different things that you're doing, right? And kind of uh, looking at where you're trying to head with your company and the things you're doing, and looking at it from that perspective, looking at here's where I am right now. Yet I grew up in Mexico, or I was born in Mexico. I came here, however, I came here. And, did you ever position or saw yourself being where you are now? And what has been your biggest, people call it your why. Nevertheless, what has been your motivation to say, hey, I can make it just like anybody else.
Yeah, no, definitely my why at first was my parents. Not only did, like I said, I know what they did in order for me to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they went through, and they still do it every day. They work very hard jobs. They're in the agriculture, like most Mexican parents where I
Yeah.
live.
Yep.
So they were my biggest why in the beginning, because of that reason. And then as I get older, it's become my own family. I don't have kids yet. I've been waiting as much as I can, but I know eventually I definitely do want kids. And then it's just that future family. I want to build something in order to be able to
Mm,
spend more time with them when they arrive.
right.
Now it's just my two cats. So
Hey, well, you know what? I gotta tell you that they're probably more work than kids sometimes.
oh yeah.
So, so definitely. But and that's good. I mean, again, again, when we look at that message of, if I can do it, you can do it. And at the end of the day, there shouldn't be no excuse. It doesn't matter if you were born in the States, you came from different countries. At the end of the day, we all have the ability and the possibility to make it happen. Rightfully so. I do believe that some of us might have it harder than others, for sure, because there could be a lot of limitations. Yet nothing's impossible, and I say that and I speak that from my own perspective and my own experience because I didn't have crap coming here and being illegal into the States. When I first came here, now being able to have the same, would say same rights and the same ability as anybody else that was born here is a huge plus. Did it take me so many years to get there, and were there a lot of hurdles and setbacks? Yeah, for sure. Was it impossible? No, not at all, right? And so I think that's the biggest message that I think people need to take away from that experience, and even just learning and listening from you.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's everyone has their own life, and it's not easy. But I think just realizing that you're not alone, even in your hard times, you could find people to help you, and it's just working toward your goal that's going to get you there.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. So, tell me, like, do you do any? I mean, obviously, you don't see this very common on 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 people or families from immigrants when it comes down to like the mindset. And I wanted to kind of tap into that for a bit, right? Because I think a lot of the limitations that sometimes we create for ourselves, people from other countries creating for themselves, is the ability to say, hey, I can move ahead, is the limitations that they have in their head, the mindset. So I guess two things is, number one, we're talking about being that you were at that event 2 weeks ago or whatever in Las Vegas with Ulysses. A lot of that is those networking events. There's a lot of mindset, there's a lot of mind shifts, there's a lot of different ways to see things. How much of that do you do for yourself, and when did you start doing that, if you do, and what was the reason?
So that actually took me a long time. Even though I started my company in 2018, it wasn't easy. It was very hard actually. And then, in 2020, eventually when COVID hit, it got even worse because everything I kind of had been building, it just went away. And I had to basically start over right after that. Um, it was hard. So that mentality, it took a while to build. But the fact that I'm working with the Ulises and being able to hear those people who have not only similar stories in some cases, but the hardships they went through, and the fact that their mentality got them through it, just learning and finding people to help them through it, that really changed my perspective. Because at first I wanted to do everything myself. It was just a mentality of like, I got to do it myself. And then that would lead on to the fact that would just get burned out. And then I would tell myself, oh, you can't do this. It's just not for you. Just putting myself down at that point. And it's just a mentality game. It's about working through those things and realizing that you're not alone. Sometimes you got to work with other people in order to get to your goals. So I think that was the biggest thing for me, is trying to do everything on my own, and the challenges those challenges that came up because of that. I'm not sure if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. So do you do a lot of self-development now, or what do you practice? Do you have any rituals, habits, daily things that you do to kind of keep you in a positive state of mind and pushing through?
Yeah, no, I do. I try to spend at least 30 minutes a day by myself and just sitting here reflecting. I wouldn't call it meditation, although I definitely need to try that. But yeah, it's just about clearing your mind and just focusing on yourself, so you can have more time to actually do the work and do it faster in a better way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm an introvert. It takes a lot of energy for me to be around people.
Yeah.
So I definitely do need that time off for sure.
Right. Yeah, definitely. If people want to connect with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website, which is valencia.media, or on Facebook, Instagram, Victor Valencia Production. Sorry, Victor Valencia Media. I changed my business name a while back. Victor Valencia Media on Instagram. And then my email is victor@valencia.media.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. So, what are some of the things that you're working next in your business or in your personal life?
Yeah, so I'm working with a friend of mine who we are, like I said, building that second company, who specializes in real estate. He's really big with photography here in where I live, and we're partnering up to kind of build that. We're looking to build a course to, first of all, help beginners get into that mindset of like learning how to actually take the photography, the
Yeah.
quality that we're looking for. If they're interested, we'll hire them and they'll become part of our team, at least until they feel comfortable enough to start their own company, or build their own thing. Um, I think the best thing about that, the way we have it envisioned, is that we're going to help them not only start by joining our company, but we're going to show them everything we did in order to become a six-figure company on their own. So it's definitely something that we're really happy to build. It's not there yet. It'll take a while, but it's
Right.
a system that's going to help a lot of people start their own photography business.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, and then in the current business that you have right now, where you do your media and all that stuff, is that specific to anywhere in the U.S. or is it just specific to a particular geographical area?
It's really anywhere in the U.S. Most of my clients are here locally, though. I
Okay.
do have clients over the border in Oregon, and then I have a client in Texas. Although it's not consistent, it's
Hmm.
we work with them over with them. It's just we hire someone or they hire someone to get the content, and then we manage it for them.
Hmm.
But so it's a little different. We don't go there all the time. We also have someone in Canada who I work with, very similar, where we hire someone to go out and get the footage for us, and then we edit it and post it and manage it for them. But yeah, mostly here in Washington State, but we're not afraid to go out and
Venture out.
travel.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Definitely, definitely. Um, you obviously have gone through a lot. You've endured a lot. You've overcame many different things in your life. For the people that are listening to us and they are watching us, what is a couple of things or one advice that you can give them if they're going through any challenge, whatever challenge that might be, so that they can start overcoming that challenge? What would be one advice?
Um, so I didn't get into it earlier, but really working with a mentor really helped me.
Hmm.
So I actually bought a course that helped me get into video production. Um, his name is Parker Walbeck, and just having someone who you're learning from really helped me overcome a lot of my business challenges, at least. Um, so that's definitely the way to go. Just finding someone who can help you through that. As far as personal, it's really about who you are as a person. Like I said, I'm very introverted. I need time to myself. It's about clearing my mind and just learning to how to manage my time more than anything. Um, and then as far as just personal stuff, just finding your why is the biggest thing. It's about knowing why you're doing what you're doing and why that's really important to you. And then using that to really accomplish your goals and in a way like you wouldn't before.
Yeah, no, definitely. Talking about mentoring and getting a mentor, I find that I believe I believe that you definitely need that. Just like when you go to college or you go to school, in high school, you might have. I mean, not nowadays. I don't know how many, but I remember when I was in high school, you had 6 periods in a homeroom, right? So you essentially can have up to 7 different teachers, and those teachers can be seen as mentors because they're helping you, they're mentoring you throughout that. Except the idea here is that you go through that through growing up. You go to college, you pay for somebody to kind of teach you, mentor you, whatever the case may be, and then you're here trying to create something. And I don't understand this aspect, and maybe you can give me your point of view, is where people are so afraid, I guess, or maybe they put up this wall where, like, hey, I don't want to get a mentor, I'm not going to pay somebody whatever 5,000 or whatever price amount of money. I'm not going to pay somebody to tell me what I need to do or not do in this business. Or why should I pay somebody to teach me on how to wholesale a deal in real estate investing? Or why should I pay somebody to teach me on how to write a book? I get a lot of those things, and so I again, when I see that, I have my own opinion on that. I want to hear your opinion because I do believe that you do need a mentor. I've had numerous mentors. I think the last maybe 3-4 years, actually 4 years, I probably spent over $200,000 in different people mentoring me and helping me in many different facets of my life. And people will probably say you're crazy, right? So, what is your opinion on that?
I mean, you don't need a mentor, but just realize that's going to take you 3 to 4 years longer to not have one.
Mm-hmm.
I think getting that mentor and working with Parker. So I bought a course that really taught me everything I know about video production. That alone saved me 3 to 5 years of my life that it would have taken me to make mistakes and learn from them. And I think that's the biggest advantage to having a mentor is the fact that you get to avoid those mistakes that you are going to make. Trust me, you will make them.
Yeah.
Um, just not having to make those mistakes because someone already else made them and paying them for them, in reality, you're not paying for them. You're paying to avoid those mistakes.
Yeah.
Um, and the time that you're going to get out of avoiding those mistakes. I think that's the way I see it, and that's the reason I mean, I was a broke college student, and I decided to invest in this course that was at the time seven or $800. I didn't have that money. I really didn't. I ended up using my credit card in order to buy it, and that was the best thing that I bought in my life.
Yeah.
It's about saving yourself time, energy, and avoiding those mistakes.
And I think also beyond, avoiding those mistakes and getting some time back or more time for you to do things way faster, there's also a point in time where you're gonna end up saving some money too, because some of those mistakes can cost you a lot of money, right? If you do it on your own.
It costs you a
And
lot of money.
exactly, and I've learned that. I mean, I'm a real estate investor by trade, and I do multiple different things now. But I remember when I first started in my real estate career back in 2005, 2006, I didn't have nobody. I wanted to do it on my own, and it cost me a lot of money, and it cost me headaches, and it cost me so many different things, right? So I do know that there's definitely multiple ripple effects when not doing that. I mean, and you're right. You don't need a mentor. It's really where you want to be in life and how fast you want to get there. And I know for me, I always tell people that we're here today and we are gone tomorrow. And at a blink of an eye, before you know it, is like, man, where did this year 2022 go? Right? We're almost close to the end of the year, and it's like, what? Are you kidding me? And so again, you just never know. So yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. So definitely, if you want to save time, money, and just get, I mean, it's basically what I'm offering. If you want to save your time from social media, hire
Yeah.
me, and then we'll take care of it. And hiring a mentor is the same thing. They're gonna help you avoid those mistakes and save you that time and money. So
Yeah.
for
No,
sure, I
that
agree.
definitely. Yeah. No, that's awesome, Victor. So definitely, I really enjoyed having this conversation with you. Is there anything else that you want to share before I let you go?
No, I'm just happy. You let me on here. I appreciate it. It was a fun time. I really enjoyed talking to you, and hopefully, someone can hear our message out there and
Yeah.
kind of learn from the mistakes I've done in my life and
Yeah.
how I kind of overcame them. And how just because you're struggling doesn't mean that it has to stay that way. You could always overcome things, and it's just gotta get on the right track. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
definitely. I totally agree with you, and I do believe that there's something bigger and greater, and we got to be able to seek for that and find that, and definitely there's ways to overcome those things. So, definitely glad to have you here, Victor. Thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate your time and everything you had to share with us today.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Please make sure you connect with Victor. I'll have all his information on the comments. And also do me a favor. Please make sure you share this message because definitely somebody needs to hear this. You just never know who can be impacted by this message. And I'll see you guys at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Goodbye.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.CesarRespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.